feels weird. I gotta get used to the weight on my head. Boop, boop. Now our next step is to cut this. Cut all this down. So I have my line snapped and I checked level. That's where I want my ridge, top of ridge. Actually, also gonna check something too, because this does not look parallel. 2'3". 2'3 3/4". We might fix that with, once we tear this up. See that gap? We could sink that in because this is very loose. Okay, but let's figure out the height first. I want that to be a 312. So basically what I'm doing is I'm figuring out my seat height, what I want my seat height to be. So my wall is a 2x6, so that's 5.5, but plus the sheeting is 6. So you see my 6? Mm-hmm. See how it's meeting that point right there? This is my 312 plumb cut. So I'm square to that. So that's what's gonna sit on the wall. And this is what's called my heel, or my seat.
Your 312 first and then did your 6-inch?
Yeah, so that's 3 7/8. So I want to go with a 3 7/8 heel height. We're gonna come over here, and the reason why I'm doing it on a sheet of plywood is because I know this is square. Right. Factory, factory, factory. This is as square as you can get. That's why I always love laying stuff out on them. So I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna mark 3 7/8. So you know what 3 and 12 means, or do you know what like pitches mean?
3 rise and run, right?
Yep, so rise and run. So for every 12 inches of run, it's up 3. Okay. So I want to make a 312 line right here. So I have a full 4-foot sheet. So 4 foot, what's 4 times 3? 12. So all I'm gonna do is go up, but I need to go up my heel height again.
3 7/8.
So 3 7/8, and then I go 12 from there. Okay, so that's my 3 and 12. So my run, I want to go with this because I know this wall's tight. So I think that was 2'3", but plus my 1/2 inch. So we're gonna make that 2'3 1/2. So then we're gonna pull over 2'3 1/2. Could you grab me that framing square? So I pulled over 2'3 1/2. We're gonna square this up. So this represents the zip, right? So where I pulled from, my run. So that's boom to outside a wall. Now I want to have a ridge on that zip that the rafter plumb cut meets. So do you see what I'm doing there? Mm-hmm. This is going to represent the ridge, but you want to mark the top of that ridge where it meets this chalk line. So that's technically the point of my rafter. So that's the length of my rafter. Now from there, this is where we're going to find our height of where we need to cut this wall down. So I pulled up 6 inches from the existing wall. So now I just need to pull down 6 inches, and that'll give me where the wall is at right now. Make sense? Okay, so this is where my wall is at right now. This is where I need the wall height to be. So all I have to do then is measure the remainder. So 4 3/8. So all those walls need to come down 4 3/8. Make sense? We can actually make our pattern now too if we want. And since we did all this on the plywood, you don't need a calculator. Your diagonal is going to be from the point of my heel height to my ridge, which we're going to go 26 7/8. And then let's see how close we are with the calculator. And I'll show you how that kind of works. So, I know my run, so that my run is 2 foot 3.5, and I'm gonna put that in my run. I don't know my rise, but you can figure your rise out because I know what pitch I want this to be. So I want this to be a 3/12 pitch. So all I'm gonna do is put 3-inch pitch, hit rise, 6 7/8. Let's go see if that's right. So 6 7/8. And actually, sorry, it's gonna be, because my heel height is 3 7/8. So this, watch this, this mark to this mark, to the ridge.
Should be the 6 7/8.
Ooh, actually, that's where I made the mistake. So my run, I forgot to account for my ridge, my 1.5 inches. So instead of 2 foot 3.5, what's my run gonna be?
2.
So put that as my run, 3-inch pitch, rise 6.5. So let's see if from this mark to this mark is 6.5. Pretty damn close, dude. So we know we're doing something right. And then my diagonal was 26 7/8. Watch this. 2 foot 2 13/16. That's just 1/16
off.
off. Yep. Isn't that cool?
Awesome.
So that's another way you can lay everything out. And then I want to kind of show you this. So with the heel heights and everything, you're basically making a parallelogram all the way up.
Okay.
So your heel heights don't matter. Like this, like I can literally put in the run. 2 foot 2 inch is my run, and then 3-inch pitch puts my rise at 6.5. Remember? But my rise isn't, it's 6.5, but that's to the point. So that would literally be if this rafter died at the end of that sheeting. Like, remember how we built that little tiny roof and they kind of like died into the floor? That's how it would be. Which is why you need to add your heel height, your 3 7/8,
Right.
so that you have a bird's mouth, something to sit on the wall. Okay, so you literally just add 3 7/8, and your new rise is 10 3/8, and that's from the top of our new wall height to the top of the ridge. Does it kind of make sense? Okay. All right. Now we're gonna lay out our rafter, because I kind of like doing this. I like laying the rafter out before we have, or even ready to set it, so that when we start messing with all this, we can test fit it as soon as we're done, and boom, it should work. And I'm gonna have you lay this out. So with rafters and everything, even though these are pretty small rafters, they're less than 3 feet, I still want to check the crown of the board.
Sure. And do you get to choose?
Yeah, so this one's pretty straight, so I'm just gonna put the crown like that. So if you want to come over on this side, first thing you always do is do your ridge cut.
Okay.
So it's a 3 12. So get your square out. Nope. Okay. Yep. So this is always going to be the top of your board. Yep. Wherever you're going to put your plumb cut, it's going to be from the top. So this is your pivot point. I always like to start a little bit in, especially because you see that little crack.
Right.
So all you're going to do is pivot, pivot,
3?
pivot. Yep. Right till it hits 3, and then give that a nice mark. Nope. You want to mark this side of the square.
That's right.
So this is a plumb.
Okay.
All right. And then I always like, for especially the first pattern, I always like to cut this first.
Okay.
But literally, I take my time on the pattern. I cut like a grandma. Boom. So I know that that's a perfect 3 12. So now you can go ahead and pull from that ridge your 26 and, no wait, what was it, 28? No, it's 26.
7/8?
Yeah, 26 7/8. And you want this mark to be as accurate as you can, right on the tip. Okay, and I'm gonna double check your work. Boom, perfect. Okay, so now put your square And now, remember how I was talking about this is basically parallel? So you're gonna do the exact same thing. And this is representing the outside of the sheathing on the wall. Beautiful. And watch this. Since these are parallel and they're both running at the same pitch, this is going to be the same exact measurement, 26 and 7/8. Now, you're going to pull down your heel height, which was 3 and 7/8, and I always love doing that with a tape measure. All right. I want you to think about what you're doing. This is a very common mistake new guys make. Nope.
This is the heel height.
Yep. You just have to orient your tape right. You're gonna pull down on that line. You want the height to be on that line. There you go. Oh. So basically make your tape line up with the plumb cut. There you go. That's how it's gonna be accurate. Yeah. And you know what I always like doing? Here, watch this. Because I don't like the end of my tape either, because it has the 1/8 inch that can move. So burn 1 inch and you're gonna mark 4 and 7/8. Okay. And now, so remember how I said this is the outside of plywood, of sheathing on the outside of the wall? So this is where our bird's mouth is gonna hit into the wall. So if you wanna think about, do you have a torpedo level? No? Okay. Well, no, it's okay. We could just, it was just to show you. But basically, this rafter is going to be, the reason this is called a plumb cut is because plumb is vertical level.
Right.
So wherever this is plumb is how your rafter is going to sit. So that means, and you know that wall, the wall's flat. The wall's level. So that's why this cut is going to be called a level cut. They both make 90.
Okay.
Both add up to 90 degrees. So this is a...
Are they're different directions?
Yes.
Okay.
So a 312 is 15 degrees. Do you want to know how you find the degree of like a 312, a 412, or anything like that?
Without using...
Yeah. You get your square, you get your tape, you put your tape on the pivot, and then you see this edge of the tape. Because it's lined up with that pivot point, you can swing your tape, and you see how it hits every common number. So if I go down all the way to 3, see, boom, it just hit 3. It lines right up with 15 degrees.
Gotcha.
And technically it's like 14 point something, but 15's close enough.
420 or like 17, yeah. Some change.
Yep. And you can do that with every single pitch. So with that being a 15, the degree of your level cut is going to be 90 minus 15.
75.
75. Now, you know...
Say that again? You said, say that again, it's 15 minus 90. How did you figure out that?
So remember I told you the opposites of cuts add up to 90?
Yeah.
So a 312 is 15 degrees.
Got it,
so this level cut is going to be a 75.
Gotcha.
And
so if it was a 412, it would be...
It would be whatever the degree of 412 is, which is
90.
Yeah, minus 90. And then how you mark it, your square is 90 degrees. So you literally just line your square up with your 312 right to where it hits our heel height, and that square is your level cut, which should be around a 70, 75. Makes sense? So that's going to be that wall, and then this is full bearing 6 inches on that wall out there, and that's your outside of plywood. So boom, this is called your bird's mouth. It's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot, but it's easy.
Yep. So after we build this roof, I'm going to test you on this.
All right.
I'm going to have you cut a rafter somewhere, and I'm not going to help you at all. So now all that's left is we need our overhang. So we're doing a 1 foot overhang.
Okay.
And we're using rough sawn material for our fascia, but we're gonna do that after. So we're not gonna put our fascia on, we're just gonna sheet it, just like the rest of the house. So I want the outside of that rough sawn to be 1 foot from my outside of plywood.
Okay.
So instead, I'm gonna minus 1 3/4 because regular dimension is 1.5 inches. Rough sawn typically averages like 1 3/4. So instead of 10.5, I'm gonna go 10 1/4. And do you see how I oriented my tape?
Mm-hmm.
It is level with the level cut. Yep. You basically want to.
And you wanted a 1 inch overhang. The rough sawn's 1 3/4. So that's how you got your 10 1/4.
Yep. Because I want the outside to be 1 foot, but I need to subtract the thickness of the fascia that we're gonna put on. So that'll be 1 3/4 there. The big common mistake new guys make is when they're measuring lengths of their overhang, because your overhang is always going to be level from your wall. So it's going to be 1 foot leveled from the wall. But a lot of people will come and mark 1 foot, or let me mark 10 1/4 where I should be, down the length of the rafter.
If you weren't level, if your tape wasn't oriented with your...
Yep, exactly. So that's gonna be like that, right? And then when you orient your tape right, how it's supposed to be, I only have 9 3/4.
Right. You can
So
see it here too.
yep. So that diagonal, there's a dimension difference when you're running on a rake, which a pitch is called a rake.
Like when you're pulling your layout on a rake wall, you
Yes.
can just pull from the
Yeah,
plate.
yeah. You have to pull square and level. Exactly. So if you want, this was our mark, our true mark, our true 10 1/4. So get your square back out.
You want it the same 3, right?
Mm-hmm. So when I have a mark, because I could put this mark anywhere with such a small overhang. Like I could have put this 10 1/4 down here, made a mark right here. I don't have to make that mark up top, but that's technically the easiest way. So I still have my tape oriented. I can make that tick mark right there. You can put your pivot point on that, and then boom, 312. So if you want, yeah. Mm-hmm. But say I had that mark right here.
You're saying if you order, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Which I do that a lot because it just saves time, you know? It doesn't matter.
Right.
I put my square on 3 and then just slide it over.
Got it.
Instead of trying to line,
Yeah.
because I see a lot of new guys do that too. They'll line this up here and then try to do their 3, and then they gotta like, you know, wiggle and move it to where it's good.
So you're going 3 first, putting 3 on your point.
Yep. So that's your rafter. So let me cut this and we'll set it aside, and then we'll start demoing that wall up. Yay, lunche! That's where your rafter is gonna go. But you're gonna lay out the whole rafter, so I'm just gonna watch. All right, think about what you're doing. Why don't you go ahead and cut that plumb cut first? It'll make it easier for you to understand a little bit. Sometimes if you hold that, that'll bind your saw and you could cut your arm off.
Definitely makes it, because I need to I'm pulling my diagonal right now, is what I'm doing, right?
Yep.
I need to be like this.
We're doing the test, Landon.
See it. Nice. Hey, we just got a plan. Architecturals. The ones with like the wall dimensions and all that jazz. Ah. Do those have like walls and numbers and all that stuff?
The two of them that I've looked at so far do.
Then yes, that's it. That's them.
All right, think about what you just did though, Tay.
I did it wrong. Yeah, I know.
There you go. But I like how you know exactly what you did though. Yeah, look at that. Hold on though. Oh,
Did you bring them up there?
there you go.
They're almost done on the new one too with them. And Derek's done too, so all of us are all man on deck.
Before you go back up there, look at the ones that are on the table. It's honestly good.
Okay. So before you cut all this, I want to. What degree is a 412? You could round to the nearest number if you want to.
20.
20. All right. Then what's that level cut degree?
20.
So if your plumb cut's 20, what's the level cut?
70.
There you go.
Sweet. And then no overhang on this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hold up. I want to teach you a little bit on cutting.
So I go like this so that falls.
Exactly. That's exactly what I would do. There you go.
If there was a joist right here, I'd do 3 in there.
Yep, you do 2 in the plate and 3 in the joist.
Sweet, dude. Thanks, man. That was awesome.
Yeah. Gives you a little bit more confidence what you're doing because boom, you're on the line, you're on the ridge. And you did all that math.
Thanks, dude.
No problem, dude.
It clicks for sure.